So
Did you have to go to jail for that?
4 months.
What?
Spent 4 months in a U.S. prison. But Noriega. And all of a sudden I hear this noise. He goes, "Whoa!" Ran out of water. I saved my orange peels. I had some oranges with me. I was saving my orange peels in my shirt pocket in case we had to suck on them. I've ridden through snowstorms. I've been minus 40 on a bike.
And that's the toughest thing.
Yeah, I've been minus 40 on the bike, which is brutal. And that was only for a couple kilometers because at minus 40 you get.
Yeah.
And I've done plus 52. And by the way, I take the plus 52 over the minus 40. This is probably the mental toughest thing I've ever done in my life because it's flat, and on a flat road, you're doing 8, 9, 10 kilometers an hour. And your brain's going, I shouldn't be going this slow because the freaking road's flat, 40, 52 degrees out. And B, you're getting pounded and you're out there for 6, 7, 8 hours, right? And as soon as he got to this spot right here, he picked his bike up and threw it. Yeah, I lived in Eastern Canada, and my parents were beautiful people, but they were a little bit conservative, a little bit. Beautiful people, though. And when I went out west, I worked in these mines. Said I had a business degree, and I didn't want to do it. I knew in my soul, right? I worked in the mines. I let my hair grow for 2 years. Ended up with hair down to here, earrings. The beard looked like Jesus, basically, right? And stuff like this started to wake me up to who I really was, right? And my friends all said that they knew this was in me, right? It's funny, I guess they saw through the shyness, right? That I had this, I wouldn't call it wild streak, but I guess
you're adventurous, right?
Adventurous. You could call it a wild streak, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. It kind of just went from there. And then I became a spinning instructor, and I became one of sort of the top spinning instructors in Florida. I was in Florida for a while.
In the States as well?
Yeah, I went down because I just freaking hated winter, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's so cold. Especially in the West, right? It's even colder, right?
I lived in Toronto, but I commuted by bike in the winter.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I did 15 years of winters in Toronto on a pedal bike. So I told you I can handle stuff. Like Like I'm not a whiner, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I discovered about myself too. That people when I was shy didn't realize how tough I was, right?
Yeah.
I'm not tough. I've never been in a fist fight in my life. Never punched anybody.
Yeah. But people misinterpret that sometimes. They think someone's shy and they're like, oh, okay, that person isn't like mentally tough or something, but they have no idea.
But they don't know.
They have no idea
what was lurking.
Yeah.
What's lurking,
I agree.
Inside,
yeah,
right?
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And that sort of just gradually came out, and then confidence comes with it too, right? And you start to do a little bit more and a little bit more. And I became this sort of semi-famous spinning instructor in Florida, and then I became a massage therapist to like really rich people. Like, what? I couldn't believe the houses that I was in, like of these ultra rich people, right? Wanted to fly me around the world and train them and do massages on them, and so
you can do the whole package, right? So you can massage them and get them all ramped up and spinning.
And that's sort of I did the spinning in the rich gyms, and then I get massage clients.
Yeah, nice. Break them down and fix them again.
Break them down and fix them again. And people like me, so they in the spinning class think, oh, you do massages. Yeah. But it was amazing. Like I end up and then I get to these rich parties of Saudi Arabian sheiks' kids, and and all this stuff, and I just go, it was a whole different world, right?
Yeah.
And then I got booted out one day. I had a criminal record in Canada, 2 marijuana charges, half an ounce.
What?
Yeah.
What year was this, you think?
Oh, fuck. 30, now at this point in my life, I'm 65 now. Yeah. Looking at 30 plus years ago.
So like in the late 80s or so?
Yeah, I guess. I kind of lost track. One would be in the 80s, I guess.
Okay. Well, just for weed?
So it's small criminal charge. They just fingerprint, you're not in jail, right? Okay. But you got a criminal. So the United States has a no leniency policy, right? So that's the corporate prison system. They make laws.
They're making so much money.
They make laws.
It's a business, right?
It's a business. They make laws to put people in jail and fill the jails, right? And I ended up being one of that. So did
you have to go to jail for that?
Oh, fuck, 4 months.
What?
Spent 4 months in a U.S. prison with Noriega.
That's nothing.
No, but get this, the marijuana was in Canada, remember?
Yeah.
So then it was 15, 20 years later. So I'm in the United States. I managed to get to Florida. And one day I came, after 6 years in Florida, came back for Christmas and visited my family. And then on the way back, I flew into Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And they arrested me and I could see the guy looking, right, and he's doing this, and I go, oh fuck, right? So oh fuck, I could see the way he's looking at me, right?
Yeah.
And I thought they would just boot me out, right?
Yeah.
So I always bought a return ticket to make it look like I was not living in Florida.
Okay.
I was just working under the table, stuff like that.
You really are an adventurer.
Oh, yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, all the massages was cash and everything was cash.
I see.
Fucking, yeah. And
That's awesome. I love it.
it's the system, right?
Yeah. It is.
You do what you do.
It is.
You do what you do, right? And I thought, oh, they'll just boot me out, right? Like, oh, here goes my life in Florida, but I had good friends and all that stuff. But
how long was this going on? Like, how long were you living in Florida?
I was in Florida about 6 years, so I was able to pull it off.
Okay.
And I actually, my instinct, my gut feeling in the Canadian, when I was flying out of Canada, I was nervous. And I usually wasn't nervous. And this is the year 2000. It was the year 2000. And my gut feeling, it just didn't feel comfortable. And that shows you what your instincts can do. And then sure enough, my gut feeling was right. Because I'd done it many times before. And this time I didn't feel comfortable. And then sure enough in the airport, and I knew it when he looked at the computer and he's looking at me, I goes, I'm fucked. I knew it. I almost bolted.
This is in 2000 as
I
well?
almost ran.
Yeah.
Because what he did was he walked away.
Yeah.
Right? And to check something, and I'm looking, there's nobody standing there. I could have fucking bolted out of the airport.
Yeah.
And they would have never found me, and I could have just found my, done whatever. But I didn't. And sure enough, they said, oh, you got a criminal record. You're trying to sneak into our country. It was a little Napoleon guy. They had a Napoleon complex, right? I'm a tough guy. I'm a security guard in freaking man.
Yeah.
A little short guy, and I have
Some people do that syndrome.
Mr. Napoleon syndrome, right? And they were really hard. And then sure enough, they came in, put me in an immigration prison with all the Cubans and stuff. I was there for 2 weeks. I thought, okay, then an immigration lawyer. I hired it. Cost me like $15,000 or something. What? Yeah, something like that.
So do they deport you back, or do they charge you and then you go through court?
Well, so I was just in the immigration. So I got charged with being in the country illegally. So they said you came into our country with a criminal record, right? Which is what they call the no leniency policy. I could have broke windows when I was 18 years old. It didn't matter. Whether I murdered somebody or I broke windows, right?
So it's like there's no
it's called no leniency. Right. So I thought, okay, after 2 weeks, they got my passport. My lawyer was going, you're going to get out, you're going to go. And I thought, there's my life in Florida gone, but at least I'm not going, And then the feds came in. When I was ready to go home, we were ready to go back to Canada. They had my passport. The feds came in and took the passport away from immigration. And they were going to charge me with the more serious thing of trying to sneak into their country. And then they put me in one of these feds. So they came, fucking put me in a new orange suit, a different color from immigration.
So it's like jail, there's county jail, and then there's like...
Well, it wasn't county.
What do you call the differences?
Well, that was the immigration system. So
you're just an immigration
I was in an immigration prison. So it was like a big room with 100 people sleeping on cots and stuff like this, right?
I was saying there was a lot of Cubans like coming through.
Yeah, a lot of Cubans and some other, but a lot of Spanish and Latin, right? Mainly. And
so they're not going to take you to actual jail, as we say.
Technically that was a jail, mild version, right?
Yeah.
So then I freaked out because they put me in handcuffs and stuff, and and I'm thinking, I got visions of those prisons you see on TV.
Yeah.
I'm going to get bumfucked. I'm going to get beaten up. I'm going to be the cute white guy, right? And I thought, holy fuck, right? I was like, fuck. I was freaking out, right?
Shit.
And turns out they put me in this prison downtown Miami, in downtown Miami, where Noriega is. You know Noriega. Yeah. Right?
The drug dealer, right?
The big drug dealer.
Yeah.
Well, you eventually you should read the story of how he got into jail because it was that was the U.S. working with him.
I haven't heard about
They fucked Noriega over. Okay. They were actually working with him on drugs, and then one day they put him
CIA?
in the CIA. Yeah. There's a whole story about that. Yeah, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's upstairs, and it was just
So he's in the same jail as you?
What's that?
It's the same jail as you.
Yeah, he's upstairs.
Fuck. Okay.
So it's a big.
So that's a legit, like, scary jail. Holy fuck.
So, but no, and it ended up being not as scary.
Okay.
So it wasn't those big open air ones that you know, like, yeah. It was a building that was like 12 stories, 10 stories high, big. And each floor would have a couple of these huge holding areas where you'd have 20 or 30 cells, right? One person would control, watch over you know, the big doors, and then 2 people per room, right, in a bunk. And so it wasn't as bad as I thought, being at least in that system, right? And I was one of the only white guys, right? Yeah, it was.
On a weed charge.
What's
what
that?
else would we have?
And so the guys would, and guys would come through in murder charges and
They ask you, right?
corrupt policemen. I got the whole thing about corrupt policemen, how the whole system's corrupt, because they got arrested because they overdid the system. Right, and the guys would look at me, and these guys would go, "What did you do?" And I go, I crossed the border. I crossed the border with a charge in Canada. And they went, "What the fuck are you doing here?" Yeah. And they called me the bad border crosser. Because they're going, "What the fuck are you doing here?" Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it turned out where it was pretty safe. Like it was safe. So I got at least comfortable. I read a lot. Okay. Exercised and read a lot for 4 months.
Did you think that it like helped your mentality for your like further adventures that you'd have? Undergo that?
It was a learning experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say what it did for me for traveling and adventure. What it did was just woke me up more to the world. It was a learning. So I got to talk to these corrupt policemen. You learn about how the mayor's corrupt and the police all the way down the system, right? Yeah. And you're learning all this. It could have made me mentally tougher. I can't really say. It could have, probably did in some ways, right? Yeah.
So you kind of gain more like life experience and like how the world kind of functions. Right?
Yeah, you start to see it, the other side of this world where how it's just not fair, right? This So then after 4 months, I finally got to a judge. The judge looked at me. He knew I was nothing. Yeah. Right? He knew. He just looked at me and he said, "Son, go home, don't come back." Yeah. That's all he said. He knew I was nothing. Yeah. It was like really stupid for me.
So you're like in remand or something, basically, that time period. And then remand. I don't know, like...
Remanded, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, I guess we have the same, because Australia and Canada have the same system. Like remand in Australia is like you're awaiting like sentencing or like, but you can't get bail. So you're just kind of like in like a holding area until you like
it wasn't really a holding area. It was a full-fledged prison, right?
No, but you still go there, but you're still awaiting like...
Oh, yeah, well, I was awaiting trial.
Yeah.
The only thing that made me nervous is that my charge had 2 years.
Okay.
I could have had 2 years if I got the wrong person, right? Yeah. That freaked me out.
That's a dice roll, really, isn't it?
That's a dice roll.
Yeah,
it was a really dice roll. So I was going like, and of course, probably I would have been moved out of that prison, and who knows where I would have ended up, right? So yes, I was nervous about that.
Yeah. It's a shock because like Miami or Florida in the 80s was just all about cocaine. It was like a big cocaine wave and all that stuff, it was huge. And then like you were on this...
And the States is anal about drugs, like marijuana. In Canada we laugh about it, but the States was always anal. Yeah. There's something about marijuana and hemp. Yeah. They were so anal about it. Yeah. And that's what they were, like that guy that first arrested me. Yeah. And he was looking at me like I was just some really piece of shit, like, drug. I smoke marijuana like your frickin' probably sons and your kids.
Like everyone else does.
Half the judges and half you are smoking it. Like, it's a terrible thing, right? Yeah. And it was half an ounce, right? It's not like I was dealing, right? So, but they just looked at you like you're a piece of shit. And I can tell you, you got treated like a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah.
Those people, they demean you.
Yeah.
And that's another thing you learn too. You can see they're on a power trip.
That's the thing, you get a little bit of power. Some people get a little bit of power, and then they just run with it all the way up to 10,
The guards and the other people, you can see how they just were always demeaned. And the system demeaned you. Yeah. So I could only imagine in the States with all these black, because let's face it, the laws are made in the States to put black and Hispanics in jail at a higher percentage. And you can see that they just want to demean them, right? So.
I think a lot of people get bullied or something goes on in their lives, and then they get this little modicum of power, and they're like, I'm going to use that every day on other people.
Yeah, and they could have been bullied, or else they're just a cocksucker. Yeah. You're born a cocksucker. Yeah. there's people that are born with no empathy.
Yeah, they have no empathy or anything like that.
Like Trump. Yeah, and I think there's people who are just born with no empathy, right? And I think that's who ends up in military, who ends up in power positions. You know, these running these CEOs of big companies. They got no empathy. They don't give a fuck.
Well, that's how they get to the top, because you haven't got like any empathy and you're a sociopath or a narcissist.
Sociopath, yeah.
And then you can just keep talking how good you are and then not really caring about other people, and you can do things that you and me be like, I don't feel like they're right about doing this. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't do that. That's beyond my limit. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's, again, these people are attracted to those positions because you're right, and then they enjoy the power, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I got out of prison, went back to Canada, obviously.
Yeah.
No choice.
When was this?
That was 2000.
2000.
Wow. 93, from 2000 I was in Miami.
Wow.
And then I said, well, what do I got to do? I worked for my dad a bit, had a land surveying company.
What, sorry?
A land surveying.
Oh, land
company.
surveying, yeah.
Which I had done in summers before with him. So I did it for a little bit because I didn't know what to do, right? And then I moved to Toronto, and I started teaching spinning, became second most favorite spinning instructor in Canada.
Yeah.
And because I teach with my personality, I use Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, and I use Didgeridoo music.
Didgeridoo
Dr. Didge, you know Dr. Didge?
No, I haven't heard of
Dr. Didge is Australian. And I use this African music, and I didn't play this pop music that 99% of people, and people freaking love me. Plus I pushed them, right? Because I'm tough on
Well, some spin instructors, my girlfriend does spin, and some spin instructors don't like. Some of them are really amped up, and they're just like, it's a really intense class, and the other ones are just kind of turning up, like, do a bit of spinning.
But even the amped up ones, they often have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're just going really fast with no resistance, right? Yeah, I mean, it's resistance that makes you strong. Yeah, I can pedal the bike fast with a 40-pound wheel on it too, right? Yeah. Try going up a real mountain. So I gave them real mountains, and I used that.
How do you give them real mountains?
Well, I created that in with my music. So I would sit at home, and that's my personality. I would sit at home and I go, here's what I want. Oh, this frickin' song does that, right? That's cool. And that's going to make them go up that. And people would come to me after the class and go, where do you get that music? And I end up selling playlists, right? Because I fucking had music that they'd never heard of. And they're going, fuck. But it inspired people. And I don't yell. I'm not a yeller, right? And I'm like, yeah! I just got in their heads, right? And people liked it, right? Yeah. Between the music and I make jokes, like, I make stupid jokes in my class too and tell them stories, right? So I became... And
I can see why it got popular, because it's not just you going there to exercise, it's a whole experience.
It's a whole experience.
You've curated the whole thing.
Yeah, and I gave them that experience.
People buy into the culture of what that is, and they're going on a journey.
Yeah, and a lot of young people didn't get what I did because they grew up with the, spinning, fast, look at me, I can pedal, I can do 200 revolutions. Yeah, you can't do that in the real world. Why are you not breathing heavy and you're pedaling so fast, right? It's like, but so the young kids they called me the slow guy, right? Because I would pedal slower. Okay. But I put power on the bike, right? Right? And it's power that makes you go fast.
Resistance.
Yeah. Yeah, I could be doing 60 or 70 revolutions a minute, and you could be doing 120, and I'm going to pass you, right? Because I got more power on the bike, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So the young people often, because they, to me, fucking has ruined young people. You're so freaking lazy now, right? Yeah, you just see them. I'm not going to see them in the gym.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
They finish their thing. They go right to the phone. Then they go. Right back to the phone, right? Yeah. I see people doing sit-ups with their fucking phone in their hands. Like they're doing the sit-up and looking at their phone.
They can't stop.
I go, you've got no intensity, right? Zero work ethic, right?
Well, I think it's just so convenient now. You have this thing constantly you can look at all day, and it's so addictive. Yeah. The dopamine you get off just by looking and looking and looking and scrolling. Psychologists have designed those things like poker machines. You know that, right? Like when you scroll down the feed to bring it up again, it's literally like the motion of scrolling, and then make an algorithm. They make an algorithm where it's boring, interesting. So you keep scrolling,
looking for something that's going to.
Just like a poker machine. You're literally just playing this over and over again.
That.
That's what it is.
That's a good analogy.
There's a book. There's a book about it. You can read it. I can't remember the name of the book
right now. Did you ever watch that documentary? But what's it called?
The one on Facebook.
Social.
Yeah.
What's it called? Social
conspiracy.
Social something. Not social conspiracy. Social something.
Yeah.
And
it was like that.
Well, the guys that designed it even said, this is how we designed it. Right? Right in the thing. We designed
Super
it.
Addictive.
Super addictive. But it's made people mentally, both, not just physically lazy, but they're mentally lazy.
Yeah. I agree.
And I don't know where they're going to go in the future. So a guy like me that's 65, I freaking, I mean, like, where did I get that? Because I put my headphones on and I don't look at the phone for 60 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And the guys look at me, right? And they go, how can, you're so strong for your age? I go, it's not hard. I just,
Yeah.
you know, I'm
Yeah,
not,
discipline,
I'm not,
consistency.
yeah, I don't sit down. Like every person, they do a set and then they go sit down. As soon as you sit down, you're gone. You made yourself lazy, right? And it's funny. My dad one day before he died, he smiled and he looked at me and he said, I was like 40, and he said, I knew you were going to be like this when you were 6.
Really?
I said, how did you know? Like, it's funny how parents can know.
Yeah.
Even though I was a shy kid, like I was a really shy kid, he said he watched me, and when I ran or when I did something, I did it full bore.
Yeah.
I would just go, bam, even when I was a shy kid. He said when I was 6, he said, I knew you were going to be like this, right? And it's funny, I love that, but he didn't tell me till I was 40 or something. I went, wow. Yeah. And
I think it's hard to have those, well, especially back then, like your dad's generation, like it's just hard to have those conversations with kids. These days, one advantage of the time we live in now is people a lot more emotionally attuned to have those sort of conversations. But like, I think about my parents or like my grandparents, they can't have conversations like that with their kids, you know?
Probably not now.
Yeah.
A
It's
good
hard.
parent, well, there's going to be the rare parent, but I think parents have, I agree, I think
Yeah.
the parenting has changed.
It has. It's changed dramatically, you know?
Yeah, and it's harder to be a parent now, but the parents are lazier too, right?
So this phone everywhere. Yeah. You can't see like this all day.
Yeah, they're on. They give their.
Yeah.
I see a 5-year-old kid with a cell phone. I would never give a 5-year-old kid a cell phone.
Yeah.
The-
It's the worst
kids-
thing. Yeah.
It's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
You had a baby. You have a responsibility to raise that kid, and that's not raising a kid, right?
No.
That's not, right?
It's just
You
like
should
have fun. Bye.
play with them.
Yeah.
Like show them, tell them
Yeah.
stories, read books, play with them, right?
I think in the future we'll have some sort of limits on all this stuff. There's no way. There's no way.
I don't think there's ever gonna be a limit. I think we're fucked.
For kids, I mean. I think for children there'll be some sort of like barriers in place. Otherwise, how are they going to be able to just pick up on those skills?
See, I think they're fucked.
Yeah.
This is my opinion as an older guy. I personally think the world is fucked. Not just from climate change, that's another thing, right? I just think people are going to be fucked.
Yeah.
Except maybe we have AI where everything's done for them. I don't know, or something like that. Who knows? But I think people in general, I think music's going to get bad. I think everything, anything artistic is going to get bad. And I just think generally the mind, we're going to stop, and not all of us.
Yeah.
There's always going to be people that are like you and I. We see through it and we're not going to end up like that. But I think the vast majority is just going to be gone.
Yeah.
It's how I see it now. And technology's not going to slow down. It's going to get faster.
No, it's only going to get bigger and better.
If you really think
like
about
that.
it, you know, if let's go back 100,000 years, 80,000 years, we looked like this,
Yeah.
right? Except without the clothes. We ran around naked, but we haven't changed in 80,000 years. People think, oh, we're different. No, we're not. Our brains take millions of years, tens of thousands of years to evolve and change. Our brains cannot handle the speed. There's no way they can handle that, and now it's only going to get faster, right?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Well, they think that over time we're gonna have bigger heads, but then our body and muscles will waste away. You know what I mean? Because we're not gonna be using our muscles to lift, to move, to be like all the things that we ancestrally made us.
Maybe our
humans,
heads will shrink because the brains are going to shrink. I don't
Maybe as
know.
well.
These little potties with these little, little alien
Yeah,
heads.
so they think we might become that kind of alien figure, you know?
Yeah,
like
if we're
that.
still here.
Yeah.
Assuming we don't get wiped out, right, by Mother Nature. Yeah. So I'll go back. Now in Toronto, I'm a spinning instructor. So in 2003, one of my people in my classes came up to me and said, Scotty, I heard about this trip across Africa, right? And they said, that sounds like perfect for you. And it was a guy from Toronto, right? So I fucking one day, the wild man with the hair down, I walked into his office, and I still talk to him. He still says, he remembers the day I walked into his office and he goes, oh my God, I got a wild man on my trip, right? And I walked into his office and I just asked questions, right? And I said, and I said, yeah, I think I'll do this, right? And I started raising some money, through the spinning classes, selling the CDs and my music, and also raise some money for planting trees and try to do some good, right? Do some good. And I got a couple sponsors, and I had a girlfriend. It's not really too serious, but then she got pregnant. I've never been married because I just literally hate the concept of marriage, right?
Yep.
I just think it's a man-made, stupid concept, right? Yeah. And I'm not born to be a domestic person.
Okay.
I'm just not.
Yeah.
Some people can do. I'm not born to be a domestic person. And my kid was literally born on that trip.
What?
He was born when I was in Africa on that trip. Wow. So she got pregnant, and she said go. Like I had fun. I was training my ass off, and she was go. Because we weren't that particular serious either, right? But
yeah. How long were you planning this trip for?
I would say under a year.
Okay. So
I started training pretty intensively. So I'd get on the spinning bike in the winter, and here's the mental stuff. Yeah. Here's what I did to get ready for the trip. I knew we were going through deserts, right? Yeah. I knew Sudan was 52, Ethiopia's 40, 45, Egypt's 45.
Is this degrees Celsius you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's 52?
52 for two. I'll tell you what, in Sudan, for 2 straight weeks. And
52?
Every day.
I didn't know that's possible.
And the roads are not paved. And so you're out there for 6, 7, 8 hours, right?
Holy shit.
Just getting bombarded, right? Yeah. No, and very rare to find shade too, right? So I knew that was coming. I didn't know how badly. So I would sit on the spinning bike for sometimes 3 hours, 3, 4 hours, put resistance on the bike. So I would, because biking you coast, right? So there's times where you're not working hard. Yeah. I refuse to do that. Not all the time. Yeah. There was times where I would 3 or 4 hours with total resistance on the bike and never take a break. So I could get in 3 or 4 hours, I could get 6 or 7 hours of work, right?
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Because I wasn't coasting, right? Because I was never coasting, right? I had just resistance, and of course it's mental too, right?
It is.
Resistance. And I didn't drink water, right? I didn't drink water. So I trained my body to be dehydrated, and right? So when I got to the desert, it worked. Not only did it work on the trip physically, right? The training really paid off. But in the desert, I had some people I was with, they're throwing up, they're dehydrated, couldn't freaking handle it. I was dehydrated too, but I never got sick. I could still ride and I could still function, right? Because I still will say that that's because I did that, right?
Did you have like salts or like different things to keep yourself hydrated on the trip? Preparing?
The trip was, we had overland trucks. Okay. So how we did it in 4 months was, if I had done that solo or with a couple of people, it would have taken you a year and a half.
Okay, so
because you'd be searching for food and water, right?
Yeah, just to step back for a second. Where did you start, and what's the end point?
So we started at the Sphinx.
The Sphinx?
Yeah.
In Egypt?
Yeah.
And then where were you going to?
Cape Town.
To Cape Town, South Africa?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's a long way.
So it's so I wanted to go from, it was 11,000-ish kilometers, right? And so
you're going directly north or west?
It was never direct, right? Of course, we're...
Yeah. But that's like, when I drew a straight line, just north to south, right?
Yeah, north to south. Everybody said that was downhill, so it was easy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You just put a coast on the bike.
I love that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do too, so I went up, before the trip started, I went up to Alexandria.
Okay.
And I dipped. Alexandria was the old ancient city so Cairo's here, Alexandria's up here. Okay. Cairo's on the Nile, right?
Yeah.
Right, or used to be.
Yeah.
Right, or near. That's why how they built the Sphinx, right? They figured the Nile probably went in front of the Sphinx, and how they built the pyramids, because the river. So now the Nile's moved, right?
It has.
Well, rivers move.
Really? I didn't know
so
that.
we put barricades on our rivers now, right? So rivers naturally move.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they figured the Nile, that's how they got the blocks. Okay. The Nile would have been closer to the Sphinx and pyramids. And that's how they would have transported the stones down the Nile. Okay. And now the Nile's moved, right? So they figured that's how. So I wanted to go from ocean to ocean. So I went up to Alexandria, which is the famous old city, right? Yeah. And I dipped my bike in the ocean there. And then I rode 2 days to Cairo to start the trip.
What do you mean you dipped your bike?
I just wanted to dip my bike in the ocean,
Okay.
right?
I know that you're there.
Yeah, so I went to the beach, and so I'm literally at the top of Africa, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ride this. I wanted to ride from the top to the
See
bottom.
now, I understand. You want to say,
Myself.
here's a start, and then
because our trip quite didn't do that, right? And I wanted to say I was doing from the. So I went up there. So it was 2 days. I rode down from Alexandria down, and then met the group, and then started the
How
trip.
many of you were there?
It's like 30.
And then were these people all from Canada?
No, they're from everywhere, right? Yeah.
So how do they get coordinated? Is it on the internet, a forum or something? Or?
Well, he would market it, right? He marketed, and nobody knew him at the time.
Who's he? Sorry.
I'm trying to remember his name now.
Okay.
It's called Tour d'Afrique. If you Google Tour d'Afrique.
Tour d'Afrique. Okay.
And he's become very big now.
Okay.
He does trips all around the world, not short trips.
Got it.
Trips that are thousands of kilometers long now, right? Across down South America and down this, he does long trips. That's just what he. So when he started, he was nobody. Managed to get 30 ruffians like me. You know, now everybody goes, "Oh, I want to do that," right? Yeah. And so that's why I did it, because I wanted to be the explorer. I wanted to be the first guy that did that.
I'm just shocked that like you did that and all these other people did that without in 2003. Like there was the internet and stuff like that, but it's not really known or like
as much, right? Yeah. So that was really what everybody go, and we ended up in the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah.
7 of us, because 7 of us finished it. I was one of them.
Oh wait, so only 7 finished out of 30.
Every inch. We called ourselves EFIs, every fucking inch, right? So you had to do every inch to be in the Guinness. So then the Guinness Book put it. And so for 7 years, I think I was in the Guinness Book of Record for fastest human-powered crossing of Africa, right?
Wow.
So we did it because we had overland trucks who would go look for water, right? And we had barrels of water and stuff. So we would just go ride, right?
So to start this trip, so we just what limitations on the trip? Is it just to be biking only whole way, or was there like that was the only limitation essentially?
So that was we had to be on our bike the whole time, right?
Got it.
Yeah, there's no getting in a car.
I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Erden Urick. Have you heard of him before?
Is that guy that does these? He goes all over the world or something?
Yeah, I think he traveled from America all the way down to Australia, but he didn't make it, and he only did it on solar power only. So he like rode a bicycle all the way down, and then he got a boat, and then he was like riding on a boat that's solar powered. He heated up his own water, food. And then he wanted to go to Australia, but he got stuck in I think Tonga or something like that. He didn't finish his trip. But it was similar to what you're saying, kind of like a solar-powered, only human-powered adventure, right?
And there's people that I think have cycled around the world. It takes them like 3 or 4 years. There's a guy walking around the world right now, and he writes for National Geographic. He writes a great story, Slowpeck.
Okay.
You should look him up.
Okay.
His stories are fantastic.
I want to check him out.
So he started where he wanted to do evolution. Starting in Africa, so he came out of the hub where we evolved.
Oh, so the path of evolution.
And then how humans got around the world. So he wanted to do it by walking. He's a great writer too. So we just started the Sphinx, and Egypt was relatively easy because it was paved, right?
Yeah.
And relatively flat, no real mountains and stuff like that. So it's pretty. So I mean, it's hot.
Were these roads old, like old roads?
Well,
from
Egypt
back
was
then?
Egypt. I don't know quite how old they were, but they're paved now, right?
Yeah,
So we went down to Abu Simbel. Do you know Abu Simbel?
No, that's
Abu Simbel is an old temple when they did the Aswan Dam and Lake Aswan.
Yeah.
This temple was going to be drowned.
Okay.
And it was, Google Abu Simbel. It's incredible. They cut it up in little pieces, put it up here, and it's now sitting on the shore, and they put it back together again. It was a mountain. There was a temple carved in with big, huge statues carved. When I got there, I'm freaking going, you can't see where they cut it, right? It was an amazing piece of tech. So they literally were under pressure because the water is going to be rising, right? They built the dam, and they had to get it and move it in time before it got drowned.
And they cut it in pieces and
reassembled it. If you Google Abu Simbel, you'll see it. It's an amazing temple. And I'm not talking it's small. It's like when I was standing by some of the statues, like the foot, I just looked up and you felt like this big, right? Yeah. And they moved this. And I can tell you, I can't. Anyway, so we were the first people. We had to get permission from the Sudanese government to get on a barge. So we got on a barge. We put our bikes on a barge and then went down Lake Aswan into Sudan. And the Sudanese government was waiting. We had to get permission to do that. Okay. We were the first to be able to do that. And then the Sudanese government, and you know there was shit going on, right? Sudanese government's terrible, right? They're freaking horrible. We knew it. There's a war going on, but our government said, some governments were warning us not to go, but it was like riding my bike in Vancouver in the wars in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Sudan's huge. Well, Sudan's huge.
South
right?
Sudan is usually where the conflict is, right?
Yeah, and Sudan's huge, right? So we weren't going anywhere near it. But the Sudanese government knew the media was following us a little bit, so they greeted us and threw a party, had big signs waiting on this dock, right? And they treated us really well, giving us sodas, all this shit. But we knew they were pieces of shit, but we had to smile and be. And then when we got, further into
Probably like a PR thing, right? So look how well we treated these people type thing.
So we stayed away. We just stayed away, polished from motorbikes, and then we got into Khartoum, which is the center, the capital. They really threw us a big party. And we just, we had to smile and So we get in, we get off the barge, get our bikes, frickin' sand's this thick, walk off the dock, right? Sand is this thick. Yeah. So pushed our bikes through this little town.
Wait, how do you walk through that?
Well, you what? Like, there's times where there's going to be a wild story I'll tell you later. My shoes were full of sand So eventually we got to a road, right? But the roads in Sudan were just either corrugated and sandy, or corrugated and rocky and sandy. They weren't good. And there was times they'd be really sandy. You learn to ride through some sand. It's like you put it in a low gear and you slide through it, right? It's like mud.
Can the bike?
You have to spin through. You have to spin through it, right? Now there's sometimes you'll just get so thick you can't, right? If you get into the right and you spin through it, you can get through some of it. But most of the roads we could ride, they were just terrible roads, right? And right and getting it's 40, 52 degrees out, and B, you're getting pounded and you're out there for 6, 7, 8 hours, right? Yeah. Oh, I got dark. I was like a black man. I was like this. My hair went blonde. There's people that took pictures of me because I had blonde hair and I was black. They said they've never seen a black man with blonde hair before, right? Because I just stood out, right?
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I just
had such a tan.
I had such a tan.
So bright.
Yeah, and I'm an idiot. I never I never wore a helmet that whole trip.
What?
Yeah, because I was stupid. I'm a free-spirited guy, right?
Did you fall at all?
A couple times, nothing major, but I could have fallen. Some of the roads we were on, I look back on it, sure, it's really stupid, but
on your head.
But of course, so I'm getting beaten down, so my hair went totally blonde, right? But so Sudan, we go through Sudan, and it was just, it was brutal, and they took all our booze. We tried to sneak booze in on the trucks because they drink, but they hide it, right? The men go in and they have prostitutes, but they say we're religious, but they'll do stuff behind us. But anyway, they took all our booze, so was there a dry country, right? Supposedly. And then so we get through.
Were these trucks convoying you as you went along? Or?
Well, they would just go up ahead, right? And they'd say, "Here's where you got to go, and here's how far."
This wasn't asked you. So that's how are you navigating all this back in 2003? Do you have a compass or like maps?
Well, that was the people who organized it did navigate that.
They navigated the whole thing for you.
Yeah, and so they would give us, approximately, here's how far you're going to ride today, and you'll see our trucks. And they would have somebody with water every once in a while sitting there to fill our water bottle, because you needed to fill your water.
I can't imagine.
You're drinking 5, 6, 7 liters of water, right? This is huge amounts of water, right? And that was one of the hardships too, is just the water got warm, right? Drinking warm water is not the easiest thing. So, Sudan was really interesting, between the camels and just the culture. And so we would ride by the Nile, and then you'd go out into these villages, right? And they'd be dead empty in the daytime, and we'd be riding through the desert and hitting they were dead empty just because they would go from there to the Nile to work. So we'd literally ride through these villages, there'd be nobody in them. Because they'd be working by the Nile where you could farm and stuff, right? So sometimes we'd see the Nile, and sometimes we'd be in the desert. And we did swim once or twice because they told us the alligators or crocodiles weren't around, so did risk a couple of swims. Is that?
You don't have water in the Nile?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, there's places where I guess that they know where the crocodiles are.
You can't drink it, right?
You can't, no, it's just swim. No,
you swim, okay.
Well, as long as the crocodiles are not around, right? But they would put us in a spot, they said the crocodiles aren't here. We trusted them.
So these people would just be out all day, just working in a field, like farming, and then come back.
Yeah, which is how the Egyptian culture evolved, right? The silts, right? The silt coming down from the Nile created fertility and by the Nile, and they could grow stuff, right?
Is it all just sand or rainforest? What's this terrain like?
Oh, it was just all sand.
Just sand.
Nothing. There's no forest. There's no nothing.
So your whole trip?
It's 100% desert.
The whole trip was like that?
The whole desert. Might have seen a few trees, but not much.
So you're just waking up every day, just pure sand everywhere?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow.
Except by the Nile.
Yeah.
There'd be trees and you see some lush stuff because there's water, right?
Yeah.
And there'd be silt there'd be soil because the silt of thousands of years of silt built up in soil, like. So, but yeah, generally most of the time we never saw. It was
4 months.
So, well, no, but that was that part. I mean, we'd see trees later on. I mean, other parts of the country. Sudan, no.
Okay.
Egypt, no, right?
So Egypt, Sudan, no. Okay.
Very little, right? Except when you're by the Nile, right? So then we finally get through Sudan, 52 every day. And by that time we'd had enough. Okay, that's enough of the day.
What about at night, though? Is it super cold at night?
Not super cold. It would cool down. Sometimes get really windy.
Okay.
I remember watching a guy's tent blow away too. It's freaking hilarious. He got up in the morning, pulled his stuff out, and it was really super windy, right? Super. Sometimes when it cools down, the wind picks up. And his freaking tent blew about 2 kilometers away. It was so funny. We sat there and watched him because he pulled the stuff out so the weight's out of his tent. And the tent just started to go like this. And we watched him. He's fucking chasing the tent. They literally somebody had to get on a motorcycle, and it was literally about 2 kilometers away. His tent, right? So, there's stuff like that. But, so, Sudan was an interesting culture dealing with that. And, we did get into Khartoum and some cities and stuff. And you'd pig out because you're burning. We never got enough food. Yeah. Because it was hard to feed us the calories that we needed.
How many calories a day you reckon you burn?
Well, you figure you're probably...
8 hours a day?
Depending on each day, and the terrain. You're probably going from, 4,000 to 7,000 calories, And there's no way you're getting enough, especially protein, right? Yeah. That was getting enough because the chickens and everything is really scrawny there, and so protein. So we just you get into Khartoum and you fucking eat ice cream and pizza, and you're just trying to put calories. Put calories in your body, right? I would drink that milk that doesn't go bad in heat. I forget what it's called. So I buy.
Is it raw or pasteurized?
I don't know. You buy cases of it, and it's made special because it can handle heat, right? Yeah. So I would buy cases of it, and it's like 10-15% fat. Yeah. It's really high fat milk. Yeah. And I just at the end of each day fucking
it's down.
Fat. And I'm skinny. Yeah. Right. So I'm naturally I got muscle because I go to the gym. You should see how skinny I got in that trip, right? Because I'm not in the gym. And they called me the incredible shrinking, halfway through the trip, the incredible shrinking guys. I already had skinny legs and they got skinnier. Yeah. Other guys' legs were getting bigger. Mine got skinnier because it's my genetics, right? Yeah. So finally we get to the border of Ethiopia. And it's funny, we were camped on the Sudanese side, and we crossed this little bridge with a smaller river, and we're in Ethiopia and we could drink beer, right? And so we hadn't had beer, and it was a warm beer. We were going, yeah. That's awesome. It was funny how you could just walk across the border and go have a beer right over there.
Can you walk to and fro the border?
We do. We just fucking no guards or nothing. There was a little bridge or something. There's a small little stream. It was funny. Yeah. And so now we're in Ethiopia. And it started gradually cooling down a little bit, right, into the 40, 45-ish, and throughout most.
Can you feel that big shift, like 52 to 45?
Sure, you can. I don't know if it's a big shift. It's still freaking hot, but you can quite. The intensity is a little low. Yeah, 52 is. You figure 52 is 130 or 125 Fahrenheit, something. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's still 50. It's just, it's a sauna.
And plus, you're just getting pounded, and it's not like you're under shade. You're getting hit all the time by it. So we get into Ethiopia, and the roads weren't paved there either, and most of the time. So you're just getting the shit pounded out of you. So now Ethiopia gets mountainous, where Sudan really wasn't. Sudan had some stuff where Egypt didn't, right? But we get to Ethiopia, you're going up these long, you go up a 20, 25 kilometer climb, stone road. Then you'd go down it, and it's, stone road. So, the pebbles are this high. So you're like,
Is that where you fell down? Fell over?
No.
Okay.
So but this is where I was stupid. Is you're going down 20 kilometers, 15, 18 kilometers downhill, no freaking helmet on, and freaking like this, right? So it's very technical, right?
Holy shit.
And you're going down, me and.
And the bike tires thin or thick?
Well, we would change tires, right?
Oh, you changed them. Okay.
We would change tires from paved. Like in Egypt, I had a thinner tire. Then you get in the desert and the bad roads, you've got a wider knobby to handle stuff, right? Yeah.
Wait, so you're doing 15Ks like this?
What's that?
15Ks down.
Sometimes 15, 20K down, but and you're getting the shit pounded out of you.
Yeah.
So it's technically, so I was a mountain biker. I'm not really a roadie.
Yeah.
I did ride roads, but I'm not one of those road riders, right?
Yeah.
So I knew how to take a beating a little bit better. So a lot of the guys who were road riders had trouble.
That'd be tough for them.
Yeah.
If you're doing mountain bike, it's so different.
And mentally, and technically and mentally. To take the beating.
Did they stack it?
So they started complaining. Some of them were whining about, when we getting a paved road, when we getting a paved road. My fucking
Oh, we'll just get one for you now. No worries. It's coming. It's coming.
Smack. Fucking shut the fuck up, right? It's like, come on, man. What do you signed up to cross Africa, right?
Yeah.
Did you think the roads were all going to be paved, right?
Yeah.
When we getting a paved road? Fuck. You can tell I don't like the way. I'm not a nasty guy, but I don't like people that whine, right? I go, okay, come on, just fucking deal with it, right?
What are you going to do? You can't do it.
Well, what are you going to do about it, right?
You're just going to go.
So on those roads, the guys that were like me that were mountain, we were much faster.
Yeah.
Because we knew how to take the beating, like the shock absorbing, right?
Yeah.
So I did go down those roads fast, and I look back at it, it was really stupid that no helmet, because if I'd have wiped out, it would have been nasty.
I had a neighbor, really fit guy. He was like 25, and he was like a tradesman, worked really hard, like really amazing shape. And then he was doing mountain biking down a mountain, and his girlfriend fell off, hit his head, and he was in a coma for like, the helmet too. He was in a coma for 8 months, and then he's never been the same.
They've never been the same.
Oh, he talks to you like he's...
There's stuff going, you can tell there's stuff.
He's very, very slow.
You hear about people that come
He lost his girlfriend, lost his house, lost his business, and he had a helmet on. And he was experienced, really fit guy, you know what I mean? Like,
experience has got nothing to do with it. We all make mistakes. Or one thing goes wrong.
It's just he hit a rock, and that's it.
That's just saying. I've done that before, where I've done Supermans. I hit a rock, and you just, not on that trip, but I've done it before. You just hit a rock, and you're, like that, right? I did one of those without a helmet once before. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, literally, my friend took the piece of skin and fucking went like this and put it back over, because I had no helmet.
It healed pretty well.
The guy, and that was in the middle of Ethiopia. That was no separate trip.
Okay.
Yeah, my ears rang for 2 fucking years. But how did I live through that? I lost some teeth and stuff. But I got up from that.
Yeah.
But I look at that and I go, I'm freaking lucky to be alive, right?
You are.
I started that's when I woke up, right? On that fall, I started wearing my helmet more.
Yeah.
After going like, fuck, that was really, I could have died there, But separate trip.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But
you can look back in retrospect and go, maybe I should have had a helmet. Yeah.
Well, some of the guys were bugging me, Scott, put your helmet. And I actually got pissed off at a couple of them. I go, shut the fuck up after a while. Like, okay, you've told me a few times, but after a couple of months, just okay, enough is enough. I'm not going to wear it now. Whatever, right?
Yeah, I would just be like, okay, I've asked you 2 times. All good.
2 times.
You got it.
Like you're 50 times.
That 50 is good. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you do what you want.
Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Okay. You pretty got my personality by now, right? Yeah. So we get into, so Ethiopia was really cool. I loved Ethiopia. I loved the culture. I loved the people, the food. Yeah, the music. Oh, the freaking music in Ethiopia. It's so cool. And the way they dance and move their neck and shoulders. You should watch Ethiopian dancing. I don't know how they do it in the shoulders and stuff. It's really cool. And just beautiful people, because they got that Nubian skin. They have no hair.
What?
They have no hair.
Because it's so hot, they would never need hair.
Yeah, because it's so hot. They have this beautiful skin. So like the women have no like vaginal hair, no armpit hair, they don't have to shave, right? Yeah. No Brazil.
I can't imagine that.
So, yeah. No Brazilian needed in Ethiopia.
Can't be a beautician over there.
And the men too. Very few men have to shave. So they got this beautiful. They're sort of beautiful culture, right? I think they're intertwined with Nubians, right?
Okay.
And you look at Nubian, we're beautiful, right? So really, really wonderful people. And I really like the culture there. But again, the roads, there's sometimes we were on paved roads there too. But but it was mountainous as motherfuck, right? Well, long 15, 18, 20 kilometer climbs and then get the shit kicked out of you going down. And even on the flat roads, just a lot of, so we get flat tires because the trees started getting like thorns like this and thorns. And so the trees overhung the frickin' road. So there would be smooth parts on the road because it's where the people walked on the edge of the road. So they walk, Ethiopians walk everywhere. They walk. So these would be a little smoother. So we would try to ride our bikes here. We'd not take the shit kicking as much. But that's often where the frickin' needles were, right?
So you get tired.
So sometimes so we risk the, you go, do I be out there or do I risk the needles?
That's a tough choice.
It's a tough choice. Do I take the fucking beating? Do I risk the needle, right? One guy had like 15 flats or 10 flats in a day once, right? Fucking one
In a
guy.
day?
I don't know what he was doing. Right? I don't know what
He's trying to aim for them? He's trying to get each one all the way?
I don't know. Yeah, bad karma or what. I go like, I had 2 or 3 sometimes, right? I think my 2 or 3 or 4 was my highest in one day. But I was going like, you get a little pissed off after a while fixing. But yeah, you get these big gigantic. And one day we were camped on a dry river, and I frickin' put my little blow thing up that you sleep on, and I put it down to sit down. My fucking needle went right into my ass, right through the. So I had to patch my thing, and I was like, holy fuck! So you can imagine what that does to your tire. Yeah. So we would often, we'd risk. It was.
Isn't it like a heavier duty, thicker tire, or
well, we would try to. We would try to ride with the thicker tires. They're heavier, but they do take. But it didn't matter sometimes because. And
when you tube repair them, do you just like put it in, and turn it, and then like light it on fire, like do the wax thing, like?
Some of us, I don't know what we had. In those days, we had this thing called some kind of goo. You could put it inside your tube, or is it inside your tire? Well, there's a lining. I put it sometimes a lining. It was it wasn't tape, but I could put it around inside, right? And that might have helped, but sometimes you get pinch flat too. A pinch flat is when you hit rocks wrong. And they'll pinch your tire. And it looks like a snake bite. You got 2 little freaking holes. And it's called a pinch. It's where so you have to try to learn not to get a pinch flat. It's how you ride, right? You have to look at the rock. There's rocks everywhere, but there's certain rocks that'll give that pinch flat more, right? So you get pinch flats and you get these needles. So that was Ethiopia, right? Yeah. No trees.
That sounds like just really frustrating.
It's part of it. It's just part of it.
Just starting, stopping on again, all that.
There's days where you wouldn't get flats, and there's days where you would get them, right? Some days you get through it, and some.
How many of you were there at that point? You had 30 to start with. At this point,
they all did the trip. It's just 30 didn't do the whole trip.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
There are days they got in the truck and they did other things, or they get sick. They get sick or hurt, or so.
You didn't get sick the whole time.
Oh, there's days where I felt like shit, right? Just kept riding. That was the mental toughness, right? There's days where you're just like, oh, fuck. And you just got to keep going. And that was part of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I never got violently sick, but there's days where I felt like shit, right? Just like shit.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And, I was dry heaving some days on the road. Yeah, there was a day where one of my buddies fixed my flat. I was dry heaving and I just felt so bad. I tried to fix my flat and I couldn't do it. And then he came along. He found me hiding under a little thorn bush trying to get shade like this, right? And because I just felt so bad. And I just had no energy, mental or physical, to fix my flat. And he came along and fixed the flat for me. And then I got on the bike and I managed to get through. So there's just stuff you have to deal with, right? It's part of the package, right? So, Ethiopia was fantastic. And then I'm going to tell you, here's where we get into this road, right? So we get into Ethiopia. Where's that road? No.
Not this one.
Good. Did I bypass it? Did you steal it?
No, it's there. Okay. This one. This right here.
So I'm going to tell you about this road. This road, so we get in at the end of Ethiopia. We come into northern Kenya, right? And remote. So we didn't want to be where traffic was and stuff. And we also wanted to see Africa the way Africa is. So we came in into north through this remote road, and this is the lava desert. I think of Austin Powers, right?
Yeah.
The lava desert, right? The lava desert. It sounds perfect, doesn't it?
It does, it
lava
does.
desert. I can see, you can picture.
Yeah, a lava desert.
Yeah.
What do you think that's going to
You
look
go, what
like?
the fuck
yeah.
is a lava
yeah,
desert?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lava. Sounds ominous, right?
Yeah, it
The
does.
lava desert. So we fucking hit it right at the border, basically. They said we had 3 days of it, had to do 80, 90 kilometers a day on this road. So it started off so-so. I think you saw the early pictures, right?
Yeah.
And then it just turned into this. And flat, of course, it's flat. And of course, it's a lava desert because of a volcano, right?
Yeah.
From 2 or 3 million years ago, right?
Okay.
So the road is rocks on the rocks. Lava. Here, let's make a road. Let's just put rocks on top of the rocks. And there's your road.
Yeah.
And I don't know, want to show it?
Yeah, you can show it. I'm going to have it on the screen as well so everyone can see.
There's that road, if you can see the road. 3 days on that road.
Yeah.
So, as I told you earlier, that was the mentally, I've ridden through snowstorms. I've been minus 40 on a bike.
And that's the toughest thing.
Yeah, I've been minus 40 on the bike, which is brutal. And that was only for a couple kilometers because at minus 40 you get.
Yeah.
And I've done plus 52 and by the way, I take the plus 52 over the minus 40. This is probably the mental toughest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Because it's flat, and on a flat road, you're doing 8, 9, 10 kilometers an hour. And your brain's going, I shouldn't be going this slow because the freaking road's flat.
Yeah.
So this
bike, that's so slow.
on a flat road.
Yeah, on a flat road, 10
Especially on a
kilometers,
flat, going
in
up,
1 hour.
Going up a mountain, it's not slow,
Yeah.
but that's maybe I'm going up a mountain.
Flat,
On a flat road, there's just no way. And so your brain's also having trouble with that too. So you have to really hold on. You can see the rocks.
They're so thick.
Yeah, and so you have to really hold on to your bike. So technically, so you're gripping your bike more than you normally would, right?
Yeah.
And it's that story. There's one day I fell on the slip. The rocks were so thick, I just went doosh, slow motion, right? Doosh, and I broke my odometer. So now I don't have an odometer, so I don't know how far, right? Right, how far I'm going, and how I don't care about the speed. I just want to know the distance. Yeah, and some revelation to where I am in the day. And a friend, I was riding with one guy, and then he stopped, and I went up ahead, and I sat there for a while, and he caught back up, and I goes, how far did we go? And he goes, 2 kilometers. And I went, because I thought I had done like 6, 7 kilometers, right? Yeah. Mentally, I thought I had done, and I go, oh, fuck, right? Fuck, it just can destroy you, right? 2 kilometers, and think you got to do 80. You got to do 80 like that, right? 80, 90. And this particular picture, I'm going to tell you a story here. This particular picture, I got in, because I'm tougher than, I'm not bragging, I just meant tougher than most of the people on the trip. So I would arrive often before most people. There's 3 or 4 of us that were particularly stronger than most. 4 of us. Yeah. And I'm sitting there, and I watched one of the guys come in. And as soon as he got to this spot right here, he picked his bike up and fucking threw it. Frustration. Right? Just pure ultimate frustration. You can see it in him. He just picked the bike up and fucking
I can imagine that would break people.
And he was out there longer than us. Remember, and I was out there a long time, and he's out there longer, right?
Yeah.
Fucking boom! You're just watching this. But so at night, here, good. You got it. Is there a spoon here? Yeah. So my fingers were so tired at night from gripping the bike. Here's how I ate. There's how I had to eat. I had no
open your hands.
I had no finger strength. No, I could open my hand, but I had no finger strength.
You couldn't have any. You had no dexterity.
I couldn't.
No
Yeah,
dexterity.
my fingers were gone. So I had to actually eat like Cro-Magnon man, right? Yeah, and those are just those are things you don't think about when you're back home.
No,
you can't ever imagine because you're back home. You don't know what you're going to deal with, right? So it's just funny looking back at it. These things that happen.
How many days were you doing that for?
Well, that road was 3 days.
3 days.
So now I'm going to get to a really cool, and I saw the nomads, like I told you about from Star Wars, the camel thing. those nomads, very rare do you see them, because they don't like being around people, and they don't want their photo taken. So
they just travel around the land?
they land on their camels, right? On their camel. So their houses would be on their camel. I guess they take them down at night. So that's what it looked like on the Star Wars movie. That's why I said, if you look at the Star Wars thing, I swear to God, the guy, what's the guy that did
George Lucas.
George Lucas said, fuck, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking make this on my movie. And I mean...
I think he did get inspiration from Africa.
Well, he must have.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a sand planet. It's the first thing he said.
Yeah, and I bet, I swear to God, he might have got the idea from that. It was similar, right? So it was cool because me and one other person, I think, were the only people out of the 30 or 40 people that saw the nomads. Right? So I was out there by myself, and one day I just saw them, and I was like, wow. And they were like, I wanted to take a picture, but they got angry. They were off in the distance, but they knew I was taking, and they got a little angry. And I do got a picture somewhere of them off in the distance.
Did you talk to them?
No, because they were off in the distance. They would be over there.
So they're screaming
They
at
weren't
you.
on the road. They weren't on the road. They were over there. And they kind of knew I was taking it, because I stopped and went, oh, fuck, the nomads, because we were told you'd never see them, right? And then I went, fuck. And when I got to the camp, nobody saw them except me and one other guy, I think, right? And so this is why we do these things. It's not, I didn't do it to be in the Guinness Book of World Record. I did it for the adventure, and that we were the first to do this, right? The first to explore these roads and do this. That's why I did it. Sure, it was cool being in the Guinness Book of Records, but my goal was to be an EFI, to be every fucking inch. That was my goal. And every inch got me in the Guinness Book, but that wasn't the ultimate goal. The goal is just nothing stopping me, right? No matter what. So, but if
Have you ever seen David Goggins?
Who?
Have you heard of David Goggins?
No.
Oh, you should check him out. He shares like a similar mentality to you. He's like long story short, he's like a Navy SEAL who was like really overweight and got really thin. And then he like failed Navy SEALs.
Overweight Navy SEALs.
Yeah, literally.
Bit of an oxymoron.
It is oxymoron, right? But then he ended up doing these like 100-mile runs with like no preparation.
Oh, he was doing those ultra-marathons.
Yeah, ultra-marathon runs.
Like those guys are nuts.
Yeah, he has the same mentality as you.
Yeah, those guys are
same
nuts.
Thing. Yeah.
I've seen those guys on
Hearing your story is essentially the same thing. Yeah. Even though you don't know each other, you have the exact same way of approaching, like, this is the way I'm going to do this. I'm going to use my mind. Just the only thing you kind of be.
I think you have to.
Right?
Any of these kind of things, you have to, right? You have to have that mind. You can't do it. There's no way. You'll break down, right?
How did you find, like, I know you had people to help you with, like, keeping mentally well.
We had a horse, or we had a horse. We had a nurse.
Yeah, a nurse.
See, I have fallen on my head a few times, okay? Remember, I have fallen on my head a few times, right? I had a horse. Nurse. We had a nurse. Yeah. We had a few people that cooked and, did stuff like that. So,
what I mean is that, like, let's say you were like going on a road for like hours and hours and hours. There's nothing. There's no one to talk to. Like, what do you keep in your mentality or your mind to keep you like pushing through? Like, when you feel like you want to break, how do you like bring yourself back and go, no, fuck that. I'm going to keep pushing through. Like, what's that thing inside you or your mind state that helps you get to that point?
I mean, I think, like, let's use this road as an example.
Yeah.
I would stare at the horizon. So you can see the horizon goes forever.
It's endless.
It's endless. It's endless. Yeah. So I would stare at the horizon and aim for the horizon.
Yeah.
And then you'd get to the horizon, and then you'd go for the next horizon, right? So I do stuff like that. I actually can't tell you what I would be thinking.
Okay.
Maybe you're, probably at times you're going, holy fuck, this is brutal. But, you just get quiet in your mind. You have to stay quiet in your mind. Probably thinking maybe things are back home too at times. Like when I climb long mountains, like out here in Santra, I do this road that gets up to 22%. And 22, I don't know if you know 22.
What does that mean?
It's freaking like that.
Oh, the angle.
The angle. Yeah, it's freaking brutal.
Yeah.
And most of the young guys don't do it. And it took me about a month and a half of 2 months of training to get up this road. That's just part of it. It's all 15, 18, 22. And at the end, it goes 22 at the end. Perfect. Thank you, Mother Nature. Right at the end, when I'm already tired, let's make it 22, right? And often my mind is just creating something to inspire me, right? I'm creating a goal like that's going to get me up there, aiming for something. Yeah. Or on a long ride, I sometimes create competition in my mind. I'm chasing somebody or I'm doing, but on a road like this, I think you're probably just lost, right? You're just out there.
Well, this guy, David Goggins, what he would do is he'd listen to the Rocky song. You know the song, dun, 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 dun. He would literally listen to it on repeat.
I'll repeat.
Just he has a world record for the most pull-ups in 24 hours and doing he's done like
Pull-ups for
100.
24. Who wants to do pull-ups for 24
I don't know.
hours?
That's his thing. He just likes mental challenges.
Yeah, I got you.
So he would play this thing for hours on end, and it would just inspire him. And then when he'd have that in his mind, like you're saying, this inspiration type thing to push through. And
Yeah, I got you.
know?
Each has got their own.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not a music guy.
Yeah.
I never ride with music. I know people that do, and some people.
What about the Pink Floyd and the spin class? Though?
Well, that was spinning.
Yeah.
But I'm talking when I'm riding.
When you're
my
riding,
bike.
you got nothing in?
Nothing. I refuse for several reasons. One of them is it's dangerous. Like on that road, no. But in traffic, you can get killed.
That's true.
I want to hear the car. Like I've saved my life several times as I heard cars coming, right? I heard stuff coming, and I've saved my life just literally by hearing.
Do you ride everywhere here in Saigon? Sorry, not Saigon, in Penang?
I ride up in the mountains. I don't ride to commute.
You get a motorbike, right?
I have a motorbike, but I don't commute like I did in Canada. But I go up in the mountains up here. That's, you know, and, well, I was out there for 2.5 hours today, yeah. So and the other reason, more than not the danger as much, is it's the mental.
Yeah.
I like hearing my breath. My breath tells me I'm alive, and I like to hear my tire on the road. I like to hear the wind. I like to hear the birds or whatever, the trees rustling, a monkey screaming. You know, sometimes I'm riding and I hear this. You know, here in Santra, you know, you hear this.
You can hear. I was doing the High Bend Pass yesterday, and we went like kind of bushwalking for like that 25 minutes, and I just heard all different sounds I'd never heard before. I was like, I don't know what fucking.
They're primal, like they're that is a very primal sound, right?
Yeah.
So I like that, and it reminds me that's why I'm riding the bike, is just to be connected. Right, the sound of my tire, everything is rhythm, right? It's the sound of my tire, my breathing, whether I'm breathing normal, right? It's just everything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could hear the sweat sometimes hitting me, right? Or the raindrops hitting me, or, you know, everything, right? So I don't want the music, right? I don't want that. And I'm just different.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
You got to do whatever is.
Essentially, it grounds you. All that tactile sound and feeling grounds you. It keeps
well,
you
that's
going.
what it does. It grounds me and keeps me going.
Plus, you're alert, like you said, you're hearing and seeing what's around
and
you.
I love the senses. It's why we're alive. We're humans, and we got all these senses, right? Yeah, and it feels good to, you know, we sit. There's no sense here, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I love that. It keeps me in touch with my senses too. But that's just my personality. That's the way I do it. There's people that trip that road with music, you know, but I just wasn't. So the story I want to tell you at the end of this road, 3 days of that road, start going on by myself, and I'm going up now because it's the volcano, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going up, up, up. Now we start to see a few trees, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, and it's a fairly long climb. And finally I get up high and I see the volcano, right? And I'm just talking to the volcano. I'm riding up. I said, you're the fucking one that created this fucking mess with three fucking, you know, so I'm literally talking to the volcano. I am. I'm not joking. I was, right? I'm like,
I would be.
You're the one that created this mess that I just rode for 3 days, right? So I'm talking to him, right? Talking to the volcano. And all of a sudden I hear this noise in a bush on my left because I'm looking at the volcano. And I hear a noise from the bush on my left. And I go like this. And a frickin' big giant male baboon jumps out of the bush. So here's the bike, right? My front tire is right there. He goes, raw, fucking, like right there. And I just turn around and he goes, raw. And I go, fuck. It's like, fuck. And then he runs off, right? And I was like, holy fuck. Like the teeth, you can see the fangs. It's like right in front of my front tire, right? Wow. And then he runs off towards the volcano and there's trees and it's just, he had his harem. All his women were there, right?
Had a harem.
So he had a harem. And he's protecting his harem. I think that's what it was.
He's the big dog. He's the alpha.
He was the big alpha male, right? And I think that's what he's doing. He was protecting.
Yeah.
He's the alpha male going, these fucking women are mine. So I started talking to him. Because you figure after this road and all the time we've done, my ass is already red too, because because the women have the big red asshole, right? Especially when they're in heat, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just going, buddy, I'm not competition. Don't worry. I don't want your women. I'm literally talking to him like that. And I was smiling and laughing. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And then we get up and there's a campsite up at the top and fucking jungle, and monkeys were stealing our food and our shit, right? Everywhere. So you go from the desert to this, right?
They buy a new one or herd a new one?
No, they would just
steal stuff from away.
steal our food.
Yeah.
And they,
All baboons or different types of monkeys?
these were different monkeys at this point. This was a male baboon.
What sort of monkeys think they were? Do you know what type?
I have no idea.
Like little spider monkeys or like chimpanzee gorillas?
No, they weren't chimps. There's no chimps there.
Okay.
These were medium. They weren't that big.
Okay.
Yeah, not the big
Still strong.
chimp. No, well, I don't think they were dangerous.
Okay.
But they could obviously scratch or bite. But yeah, but generally monkeys don't attack you. Chimpanzees are fucking strong, eh?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
super
We were
strong.
never
They could rip
where
your
the
arms
chimps.
off.
We were never in Africa where the chimps were. So
Okay.
we never saw chimps.
Okay.
We saw the gelda in Ethiopia. There's one type of cliff-dwelling baboon in Ethiopia, which Ethiopia is famous for, and they're fairly rare. We saw those. They were very cool. They got a big mane on their head. They were very cool. So the locals, the tribal people, have a similar. They put it and they wear it to make it look like the monk. Yeah. So we saw those.
Do the locals hunt monkeys and eat them?
Not that I know of where we were. Of course, yes, it is a problem.
Yeah.
Where we were, I can't say or not. I don't think so much in Ethiopia.
Okay.
I know the Gelda baboons are very protected
Okay.
and spiritual, so I don't.
Not that. Yeah.
But parts of Africa, no question. Parts of Africa, especially where they're starving, right?
Yeah.
Bushmeat is a big problem, right?
Yeah.
So then we get through.
So you're right. This volcano is not active, right?
No, it's not active.
Okay.
A couple million years ago, it exploded.
So you just see like a giant dust hole.
A giant hole, right?
And is the road thick or thin as you like ride along there?
So is with the road?
The road that you're like,
The road would have been normal road where.
Okay.
It's not.
You can like peer in. How deep is this crater?
Well, the road, the crater would have been. I mean, it wouldn't have been right beside the road. It was a little.
Okay, it's further away.
Because, like I said, man, the male baboon ran over here to some tree. There's some trees, and then the volcano, right?
I'd be yelling at the volcano too if I was riding through that for 3 days.
I was yelling at it, swearing at it. Humorously, too, at the same time. It was kind of a humorous conversation, right?
Yeah.
I've never had a conversation with a volcano before, so yeah. So that's, so we got, then that's Ethiopia. As we eventually get through Ethiopia, I think a couple of weeks again, just pounding shit. And we get into, this was Kenya, right past it.
Yeah.
So we get through Kenya, got into, what's the capital city of Nairobi?
Nairobi, okay.
Not the safest looking city in the world.
Why?
Oh, Nairobi's quite notorious for being
Kidnapped?
not kidnapped, but robbed, and a couple of our guys got robbed at bank machines. So they even told you, be careful at a bank machine if you're a foreigner, right?
Yeah.
A couple of our guys just get robbed at bank machines and stuff.
Did you have any difficulty?
I didn't. No, I never felt unsafe. People go, I'd be more scared to ride across the United States.
Really?
The United States is a terrible, violent culture. Fucking, I would not ride my bike through the United States.
Yeah.
I don't think I would want to, where I never really felt in danger here, right? People go, aren't you? It's their stupid brain. Oh, Africa, it's dangerous. I go, it's not. No, fuck, the United States is dangerous, right? Yeah.
Well, people just don't know anything.
They don't know anything, right?
So
Because
they create like a fear around something you don't know.
Sure, parts of Africa, we picked countries that were safer too, right? We didn't go to countries where there was shit going on. Right, and we also wanted to pick a fairly straight route because it's already long enough as it is, right? It's almost 12,000 kilometers in the end, right? So you don't want to start going over here and over here, and so we get through Kenya, we get into Nairobi.
Yeah.
Went to a really cool called Carnivores. There's a restaurant in Nairobi called Carnivores, which is they cull the herds in the parks. Yeah. So when they cull the herds, they sell the meat to this restaurant. So you can eat zebra, you can eat elephant, where you could never be legal, right?
Yeah, you can't eat those.
But the money goes back to the park. Wow. So it's when they cull the herds, right?
Okay.
They're culling.
Yeah.
And they sell the meat to so you would go in this restaurant, and there'd be big spits of just like frickin' meat. I've never seen so much frickin' meat. So you sit down at the table, and they have a flag at your table. And when you've had enough meat, you go whack. You turn the flag down. And they keep beating these meat, from whatever, camel, zebra, frickin' steak bag and everything, right? ostrich and elephant and
I've had ostrich before.
and you're all going after a while going, I can't fucking eat any more meat, right?
Yeah.
It's like, man, like no vegetables. It's just fucking, might have been vegetables. I don't know. I can't remember. But and again, just pigged out pizza, ice cream, trying to put, because I'm getting really thin by this point, right? And that was one of my dangers because you get into catabolism.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what catabolism is?
Yeah. It kind of, isn't the risk like rhabdomyolysis? If like there's rhabdomyolysis where like it's like when you do extreme exercise for too long, people like on ultra marathons or like ultra like bicycle racing, they like their kidneys start to produce too much stuff. It's called rhabdo. I think it's what they call it. Yeah, this is another thing though. Like what you're saying.
Didn't know about that. So that's, I think it's called catabolism. So it's when you have. So I'm already got low body fat. Look at me. I'm 65.
Yeah.
And you can see my veins.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm old. It's just because I have low body fat from the exercise, right? I'm always and I eat junk food. Fuck, I eat, but I just burn so many calories from the gym and this that I used to, when I did triathlons, I used to have veins going up my leg and up my stomach. My mother got worried. I just said, Mom, it's low body fat. I once had 4% body fat. I got down to 4%.
That's what bodybuilders do. They get that low. They only do it for a little bit, only for like an hour or two, and they go back up.
And I don't do that intentionally. It's just from my personality and how hard I work, right? Yeah. And my genetics come into play. So catabolism comes into play when you have no body fat. So it starts chewing into your muscle. So your body's looking for energy. So now it's going to start using your muscle for energy. So I started getting thinner and thinner.
So you had no body fat, essentially. That's why you eat all that fat.
So that's why I was trying to eat fat when I had to drink that milk, because I was looking for fat.
Pizza and ice cream.
I didn't care. I'd eat sticks of butter. I didn't freaking care, right? Just wanted to put fat. So it's already getting thin enough. And that's why the guys called me the incredible. I like to write poetry. So the guys called me the incredible shrinking poet, right? Right? Yeah. And I'm serious. Look how skinny my legs are, and they got skinnier. Yeah. Like, and if you bike 12,000 kilometers, you'd think your legs would get bigger. What weight did you start at? When you, at the beginning of the Couldn't tell you. I never worry about weight. It's not.
What do you think, though?
Probably, well, considering I was probably training pretty hard going in. Right now, I'm about 80 kilos.
Okay.
Probably went into that 7, probably lower than that, because I probably was training fairly hard. Yeah. I think probably before the trip, I probably did try to gain weight because I knew.
Because you're gonna burn the fat storage.
I knew what was going to happen to me, right? So I can't, I'm probably 75, 80 kilos, probably in that range when I started.
And then at the end of the trip,
I wouldn't have known, but I was fucking skinny. Like I was really skinny.
Like 10 kilo, maybe less, 15?
I would be, probably.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
When you had nothing to begin with.
When I did triathlons, I probably was like, I probably was, 10, 15. When I did triathlons, was 10, 15 kilos lighter too. Same, because I get so skinny. That's fucking fast, man.
Yeah.
I could do 33-minute 10Ks in a triathlon.
That's quick.
Yeah, slow as fuck on swimming, but on land I'm really good on the bike and running. We get through that, and we end up in, I think, what is after Kenya? Kenya was really cool. Then eventually we get some paved roads, right? Yeah. Now in Kenya we're getting some paved roads, which was just nice.
That must have felt awesome.
Oh, and we get these beautiful, like Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
We rode right past Mount Kilimanjaro, a beautiful paved road. It's doing this and this. We were fucking in ecstasy. You're like, and you're really strong at this point too, right? Really strong. And it just felt great, right?
You must have been able to do so many Ks in a day. You'd be just pumping through, right?
Yeah. I mean, some days we did 140. The biggest day we did was 180.
Wow.
180 on a mountain bike's a long way, right? So, we get through Kenya, and and the rest of the trip I can't say was as physically demanding. There were times, we went through Botswana and stuff like that. Eventually ended up in South Africa. There's times, sure, it was raining, you're getting beaten up by rain. I remember going up a road, it was a stone road, and it was just fucking pouring out the whole time up the climb. It was so slippery on some of the rocks that my tire was slipping. There was just so much going up. My tire was slipping.
So sorry, you were saying, so you came to Cape Town, and then how did it feel to finish all that? Come to the end of that.
So let's get to the idea. So we get. I'll tell you one.
Yeah.
Oh no. Wait. I totally forgot the best story of the trip.
Okay.
You got to hear this story.
Yeah.
I'm going back to Sudan.
Yeah.
Well, why did I forget? This is the coolest story of my life. I've never, when I die, I'm going to remember this story.
Okay.
Let's look at it. I get goosebumps. I've told this story to people before, and they said they got goosebumps. So we're in the middle of Sudan, and I told you how bad Sudan was. So there was one day, the guy said, we're going to leave you, and you got to go into the desert. There's no road. Because they said, they've got those big tires and all that stuff, and the road was so bad.
Yeah.
They said, you've just got to go straight into the desert. The Nile is over there. You got to find this village, right? And we'll be waiting there for you, right?
Okay.
So this is the weirdest thing. So, I told you there's no paved road, right? So they drop us off at this one section for about 100 meters. There's a paved road. Why in the middle of the desert did somebody all of a sudden put 100 meters or 200 meters of a paved road? And I'm talking, other than that, there was no pavement the rest of the trip. So at the end of that paved section, we just literally went into the desert. So it was with 5 guys, me and 4 other guys. We were the stronger ones, right?
Yeah.
And away we went. And then one guy got a flat tire. Sometimes we'd push the bike. Sometimes the sand would be hard enough to ride. Sometimes we had to carry the bike over sand dune. Now we got to, right? My feet were full of sand. My shoes were full of sand. And then the guy got a flat. I don't know how he got a flat on sand. I have no idea. And we said, hey, we'll go up at the top of that sand dune. So one guy was helping him, and we'll meet you up at the top of that sand dune. Never fucking saw him again until the end of the day. That shows you how easy you get lost in the desert. You think, and I'm talking, we'll just go right there.
Yeah.
And then, fuck, where are they? Fucking where are they? They couldn't find us. We couldn't find them. That shows you how easy in the desert.
How do you communicate?
Well, so I was with 2 other guys. We just said, okay, we all had to find our way.
Wow.
Right? So,
So
now there's 3 of us, right? So we go, okay, we're not going to, we wait and we go, okay, obviously they got lost. We're in different directions now. So we started looking, and we kept going and going, sometimes riding the whole thing for several hours, ran out of water. It's 52 out, just getting bombarded by heat. Ran out of water. I saved my orange peels. I had some oranges with me. I was saving my orange peels in my shirt pocket in case we had to suck on them. Because now we're starting to go, we weren't freaking out, but we're starting to go, holy fuck, right? And we would see tire tracks of Jeeps and locals, and once in a while we'd see a local of a Jeep over there, but they just drove everywhere. There was no set road, right? So we were trying to wave a couple of them down because we want to go, where the fuck is the village, right? Right? And that never happened. So we started going, okay, we're out here, we're trying to going, where's that road? We know the road, the Nile's up here. So we see a camel. There's a camel standing there by itself. This is hours after we lost the guys, right? And a camel, when we were told that when there's a camel in the desert by itself, it's left out there to die. The owners have just said, go out and die, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because camels are worth a lot of money, right? They're expensive for the guys. So the camel was up ahead, and then he just stopped. And we got closer to him, and I think we were walking. We were just walking. We might have been walking, riding. And he stopped and waited for us. And then as we got relatively close to him, he looked back at us and he did this. He was literally doing this, looking at us and going, and we're staring at him and we're looking at each other going, okay, I think the camel's trying to tell us something, right? And we said, let's fucking follow the camel, right? So then the camel, we got close enough and the camel ran off, right? And then he'd get up a certain distance away and then he'd stop. And then we'd get closer again and he'd go. And this happened for about an hour, right?
No way.
Yeah. Every time he'd just get up, he'd jog off and then run up ahead. And sure enough, after an hour, 2 hours, I can't remember how long, right? We found this road. Now the the sand was this thick, but it was a freaking road. We knew, you could tell, it was a designated road. And then the camel just fucking took off, right? So we looked at each other, and I swear to God that this camel probably looked at us and he said, these 3 stupid fucking white men are on a bike in the desert. They're not fucking camels, they're white, and they're on a bike and they're really stupid, but I'm not gonna let them die. I'm gonna die. but I'm going to save these 3 stupid fucking white men on a bike, right? And I swear to God, that's what we felt, that he said, we're going to save him. And I swear to God, to this day, I still go with that camel was doing that. And that shows you there's a really, maybe a deeper connection that most people were lost with nature, right? And then we pushed our bike up that road. We had gone about 5 kilometers, no, not 5, 2 or 3 kilometers too far.
Yeah.
So we'd gone past the point. We had a feeling that we had gone too far, right? But we needed something, right? So we pushed our bike. We ended up in a village, and then there was a little better road, and we could ride. Yeah. And we rode back. Somebody said go that way, and we got to the village. Found a few of our friends. The 2 guys. Yeah. Found them. They got there before us. Right. Wow. I found a small refrigerator. Yeah. Opened it up. There's a frozen bottle of Coca-Cola, 2 liter. Yeah. Frozen. I fucking bought it, put it on the table, melted fast. You know it's going to melt fast in 52 degrees. Yeah, it's going to melt fast. Yeah. And then there's this stuff called basta, and it's like baklava, very similar to Greek baklava. Yeah, yeah. And it's covered, this one is covered in honey. Fucking, I look at this, we're looking at it, and it's a big plate, right? And bees all over it, just flying around. I bought this whole thing about this fucking big. Yeah. And I sat there and I drank that 2 liter bottle of Coke and I ate that whole thing of fucking.
Can't imagine how that tasted.
Fucking best thing in my life.
I can imagine how that tasted.
No, it's fucking wonderful. It's fucking wonderful. I'm alive.
Were you guys freaking out? You're just like, oh shit.
I don't think we ever freaked out. I never felt. You were going, okay, you're going, fuck. I don't even know if we got to dire, but we're also going there. You know that somebody's going to come looking for us, right? Yeah. Other people had to get pulled in. We found out later there's other people that were puking, and they were out there much longer and they were puking. And again, there's that advantage of my training, right? The training, I think the training I did that got pulled in, right? Yeah. And so I can't say that I ever say we're dire, but you've got some nervous anxiety a little bit, right? Because you're just staring at the fucking desert.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. Just fucking desert.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
You did know that the Nile was up here, so we probably would have just said, let's start going this way eventually, right? Till the camel, right? The camel saved.
That's amazing. The camel knew instinctively that you were in a pickle and it could tell you which way to go.
I like that, in a pickle. Yeah. He also knew we were stupid, but yeah. But I like that, a pickle. Yeah. We were in a pickle. We were in a pickle. We were in a pickle. A lava desert. Pickle. So we get, I'm glad I forgot to tell that, because that to me is just the coolest story of my life. I can't ever imagine anything in my life will ever top that story. And eventually we get, I was telling that story about the rain, right? Yeah. We're literally, I'm going up, and I'm talking, it's for like 10 fucking kilometers in the fucking pouring rain.
You're slipping going up
the hill. And it's fairly steep, right? And the tires were slipping, right? Yeah. And I got up to the top, and I was, what do you call it when you get too cold?
Hypothermia.
I swear to God, it was hypothermic. Because remember, I got no body fat either, right? Yeah. And I was one of the first people that got there. A couple times I actually fell off my bike because my tires slipped and I fell.
So you'd fall going up a hill.
Yeah, fall going up because the tires would just slip.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So then I get there and they had a tent and it's just pouring. Yeah. And they have a big tent where they put our backpacks, right, and stuff. So I went into that tent and I'm too cold and I'm too weak. And I just laid there on top of everything because it was warmer. And I just fucking shivered until everybody, because we couldn't set up camp, right? And then I think I went in the truck and tried to get warmer, but I was just fucking like this, right?
How cold was it?
And it wasn't cold, it was the rain, right?
It's the rain hitting you. Yeah.
The rain wears you, the rain gets you, right? Yeah. This was Ethiopia, I think, where that happened. Not that cold, right? It's just the rain, right? Yeah. So anyway, after all that, we get to the end of the trip, and I remember that last day, right? Yeah, just riding into Cape Town. People knew we were coming, so there was some media, a little bit of media, and people, not a ton, but some people waving flags as we came in, right? And just got in there, and you just want to eat, just want to sleep and drink, and Oh, I didn't tell you one of the other hardships of this trip.
Yeah.
Forgot to tell you one of the
Yeah.
other hardships. I lost a lot of skin off my balls, right? Right?
Yeah, because you're sitting on leather seat all day. But
Sometimes I'm wearing 2 bike shorts, right?
Yeah.
This is relatively early in the trip.
Yeah.
So I had I would have a big jar of Vaseline. And it got to the point where so remember, you're on the bike, you're off the
Yeah,
trail.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so my routine in the morning was I'd get up, get some water, and then before I got on the bike, I put the hand in the Vaseline, stick it down my pants, and fucking lather my balls with Beckett. And then I'd sit on the bike and go, because it hurt, right? Because my balls, there's just skin, right? Just sit
That's
down
so
on the
painful.
bike and go, like, so the first kilometer it really hurt. And then you get numb again. Then it would numb out again, right? So for weeks, that would be my daily routine. And people used to look at me, Scotty, we don't want to watch you put the fucking, because I would just do it in front of everybody, right? Just Scotty, don't do that. Yeah.
Larry, can you tell her that we're going to go in a second?
Yeah, 1 minute, my bad. So
I want to quickly ask you about that that guy with the gun that was guarding you. This guy.
So he wasn't. So you want to see
This guy here.
this guy here? Very cool. He's got a very cool character.
Yeah.
We just hired him. This is actually not this trip, but it's Ethiopia. I went back to Ethiopia, and we would hire people to watch our bikes. So we'd feed them.
Yeah.
We give them food for the night, right? And give them our. Because on these, I ran little trips later. I ended up, and we would hire people. And all these guys, they're very friendly, but they all had guns, right?
Yeah.
It's like these guns cost them nothing. Like in Africa, you buy an AK-22 for $5, right? There's guys, we'd stand there.
$20?
Yeah, like on the $5.
Yeah.
There was like on this first trip, on the trip we just talked about, there were guides that would follow us. We had military in Egypt, we had the military with us, but in Ethiopia and other countries, we had literally guys that came with us for the whole part of Ethiopia. They all had AK-47, but they were the friendliest guys. I would be holding their AKs and fucking talking to them, and I played Frisbee with them, and I got their AK, and just sitting there with their AKs, right? But they're $5. Like, you buy an AK for $5, right? Right? Yeah, so this guy he was just the coolest character. He just, they look at him, the way he's doing.
Yeah.
And, so I only knew.
So you wake up in the morning and he's just standing there with the gun, protecting you all night.
And they were
That's
looking
amazing.
at me and took the picture. I thought, oh, this is cool. Picture out of the tent,
That's
right?
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, look, we have to do this again. There'll definitely be a part 2 because you've got so many more stories I want to talk to you about, and your journey's amazing. Even the stuff you're doing now is still an inspiration.
I've got to tell you about the story about calling the Danakil Depression, right?
Yeah.
Crossing the.
Yeah.
Because that's the most inhospitable place in the world, and that was a wild trip on its own.
Yeah.
And there's stories from that one.
We'll have to do part 2 because we have to wrap up here. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it so much.
Pleasure, man. Yeah, that was cool.
Scott truly is a one-of-a-kind sort of guy. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to see my conversation with the man who fought Hickson Gracie blind, you can do so right here. But before you go, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.